Hi, hello. So today I'm going to talk about red flag number 30, which is gaslighting. And of course, anyone who knows anything about narcissistic abuse will know what gaslighting is, okay? And so gaslighting, it's an emotional abuse tactic used to manipulate you into questioning your own perceptions. And narcissists are incredibly adept at making you doubt your own reality. Now, the term originates from a play that was done back in 1938 by a British dramatist called Patrick Hamilton. And since that, a couple of films were made, one in 1940 and one in 1944, which were both called Gaslight, and popularized the term. And in the story, there's a manipulative husband who keeps doing things to make his wife doubt her sanity. So, for example, he keeps hiding special items of hers, telling her that she's to blame for losing them, and she begins to think she's losing her mind. And of course, she has no clue that he's the cause, so she's relying on him even more, and she begins to really believe that she's mentally unwell. And this is actually all part of a narcissist's strategy. So the gaslighting in this particular film, the gaslighting in the house keeps dimming, and she keeps hearing this knocking on the walls. And when she tells him, he's saying, like, you must be imagining it. And of course, he's responsible for both of these things happening. He's orchestrating them behind the scenes. But she becomes much, more and more anxious and emotionally fragile as this movie goes on. And I won't tell you the end, but it's definitely worth a watch if you've not seen it. Now, gaslighting in today's world of narcissism it's basically the same, in that the narcissist will keep doing and saying things to make you question your reality, and they'll refuse to admit that they could possibly have got it wrong somehow. And because they're so convincing, you start really wondering if you're going out of your mind. And they're also very, very tenacious in their application of this tactic, and they can keep it up endlessly for years if need be. And they won't give up and they won't give in. You'll basically cave first, because nobody but a narcissist has the tenacity to keep up this carry on. It would exhaust a normal person. And that's in fact what it does. It emotionally exhausts you, it weakens you, it wears you down. So the scary thing about gaslighting is that it's very, very insidious, and it can take many forms. So, for example, if you catch them in the act of, let's say, removing your things or whatever, they're so good at lying and thinking on their feet, but they'll twist the reality in front of your eyes and make it something else entirely. And when you try to call them out on it, they'll say that you've imagined it. You've got it wrong. You're definitely losing your mind, because that's not what they're doing at all. It's not what they did. It's not what they said. It's not what they meant. What's wrong with you? And they'll lie to you with a straight face, even though it's a lie. It still throws your mind into confusion, because it just doesn't make any sense at all to you. So they'll dance around it. They'll change the subject. They'll give you the silent treatment. They'll walk out of the room and, or out of the house. And they'll sulk and they'll tell you you've got it wrong. They'll do anything but admit that it was a lie, and that, yes, that's actually what they were doing, because narcissists don't ever do admissions of guilt or mistakes or wrongdoing or anything like that, ever. Now, in amongst all this gaslighting, they can accuse you of any or all of these following things: being crazy, needing help, telling you you're mentally unstable, accusing you of being jealous and insecure, accusing you of being overly sensitive or overly reactive, or saying that you're the problem, you need to let things go, or saying you've got no sense of humour and you can't take a joke. That's one I hear quite often. And they'll also deny that they said or did something even though you might have concrete proof. And they're so convincing in their denial that you start wondering if, maybe you could be wrong. Even though deep down you know you're not, but because this kind of behavior makes no sense, or because you've been subjected to it as a child and consider it normal, you let it pass. It's this absurd. You can even catch them, red-handed in flagrante in bed with someone else, and they will twist it around and make you believe that it's your fault that this has happened. They've even been known to say, ridiculously, oh, it's not what it looks like. And, the hell it isn't. And I laugh, but it's not funny. This kind of behavior and treatment, it's really not funny. Now, basically, there's no point in arguing with a narcissist, and you know it because you can't win an argument with them. Because what they'll also do is they'll start word weaving or word salading, and they'll run these circles around you. And often you end up not knowing what the point of the conversation was in the first place. And this is further complicated when they throw in positive reinforcement during such encounters. So they might pick some random things out of the blue, which can do any or all of three things. So one is that it flatters you and reminds you of the good times and the reason why you love them or loved them. It reinforces your belief that, of course, he or she still loves you, in spite of this little mishap or confusion or argument between you. He still loves me or she still loves me. But also what it does, it can throw you completely off the scent of where you are. So you're in the middle of this, trying to get your head straight around it, and then suddenly they throw in something completely unexpected. It's designed to throw you off balance, And the more they do this, the more you become emotionally unhinged. And over time, they wear you down and they weaken your defenses to the point that, you just don't know who you are anymore. And if you're still at the stage of being in love with them, a huge part of you is also desperate and longing for them to be right. So you've also got this additional conflict going on. You know they're wrong, but you don't want them to be. And you may even think that they're unbalanced and possibly mentally unstable, but because you're in love with them, that caring part of you comes to the fore. You start believing they can't help it, or they don't mean it deep down. And you tell yourself, they really do love me. Deep down, they do love me. Being the kind, caring, empathetic person that you are, your nurturing spirit kicks in. And you think, and this is one of the biggest and most fatal mistakes you could ever make in a relationship with any narcissist, you think you can fix them. Your love for them is strong enough to overcome any obstacle, and you really believe this. So when you get to the point of constantly making excuses for them or thinking you can fix them, you're on very, very dangerous ground, because the simple truth is you can't fix them. They don't want to be fixed, and as far as they're concerned, they're not broken. So how do you avoid this happening to you? So I'm going to give you a quick 4 tips today. So if you're being gaslighted, this is some ideas about how you can protect yourself. And I have blogged about this before, and I think I've probably done a video, but I wanted to cover it as part of this red flag series because it's so important. So tip number 1 is to know that everything the narcissist does is designed to undermine your sense of self and to make you feel emotionally unstable and to question who you are and what your reality is. And they do this to further secure their own power. So my most important advice to you is to ground yourself in reality. You know you're not stupid. You know you're not losing your mind. So just trust your gut. You owe it to yourself to stand firm in yourself. It can be that simple, but I know it's never that simple. So the next tip number 2, is to keep a log. Keep it in a safe place, password protected so that your narc can never access it. If you prefer to have like a physical record, like a journal or a notebook, think long and hard about where you can hide it and how accessible it will be to safely write in it. So it might be that, you know, your work desk or somewhere the narc can't possibly access it might be best. But if that's not possible for you, maybe you work from home or you don't work at all, you have to get creative about where to hide it. Because if your narc is aware of it, they'll get their hand on it, they'll read it, and they'll use whatever they find in there to further belittle you and twist things, and possibly, or very probably, they'll even destroy it on you. So you just don't want that to happen. So once you've got your journal and you know where you're going to work on it, with it, you're going to jot down what's going on when these weird things start cropping up. So you add dates, times, duration, what was said, and any other facts that emerge. Write it down as soon as possible after the event, because that will help you to stay grounded and know that you're not, in fact, nuts. So this dossier, as we can call it, for want of a better word, might also come in very handy for you down the road when you want to break free and you want to remind yourself of the nightmare relationship you've escaped. It can also be very handy if you have custody issues or you have to get divorced. It can be very, very handy to have this solid information that you've written down in real time when it occurred, rather than trying to recall things from memory. It's also very handy if you are being hoovered, which is something else for another subject, but another video, but you might be getting hoovered. It's also very good to remind yourself, go back and read your journal, read your notes and see what the reality of the relationship was like for you. And it can quickly bring you back down to earth that you really don't want to go back down that road again, okay? And one more thing is it can be useful if, say, for example, you have one of these utterly charming, on the outside, narcissists who everyone thinks is great and they can't understand why you guys broke up and they just don't believe he could be that bad, yada, yada. It can actually be handy if you have this information all written down that you can share with, some family or close friends, and obviously with an attorney. So lots of good reasons for doing that. Tip number 3 is to reach out to someone that you can really trust, or find a support group, because if you've been isolated, you very often have no one to talk to. And just as a reminder on that note, I do have 2 support groups, Facebook support groups. One is for men, one is for women, and I put the links in the link under this video. So if you are stuck thinking, I'm alone, I have no one to talk to, no one understands what I'm going through, all of that, just check in and come and join us in Facebook, because there are a lot of people there who will understand and who know what you're going through, and just knowing you're not alone can be a massive, massive help for you to get to the next stage, So tip number 4, I've said it before and I'll say it again, I'll never get tired of saying it. Formulate an exit strategy and get out of the relationship if you possibly can. And I say if you possibly can because I know there are situations Where this seems impossible, and these usually involve children, and such situations are very, very complex and require research and deep consideration. Society dictates that children are better off with parents, with both parents. But my belief, which is validated by a lot of research I've done, is that if one of those parents is narcissistic, then no child is better off in this situation. And I've often heard people say, you know, I'm staying for the sake of my children. But research actually shows that growing up with a narcissistic parent is emotionally destructive for the child. And I've talked about that, you know, back in flag 15, red flag 15. So if you've not seen that and it's of interest to you, check out, find the video, it's in here on YouTube. Because what happens is that leads you to attracting more narcissists into your life. And I acknowledge how difficult it can be, you know, to make a decision whether to leave, because you've then got the whole ensuing battle of custody and access to your children, which is a complete and utter nightmare when you're dealing with a narcissist. But it is something that you need to really look into and research and look at all the options and hopefully find the right solution for you and your children, okay? In any other situation, as in you don't have kids, just cut loose and go no contact as soon as you can and start rebuilding your life from the inside out. Because, as I also frequently say, you are worth it. And when you know your own worth and value, it becomes much more difficult for anyone to kind of hoodwink you. You've got to be the one to step up for yourself. And you deserve way, way better than to be, you know, belittled and devalued and invalidated and made to feel worthless. You deserve better than that in your life. And I sincerely hope that you get out if you're in this kind of a relationship, or that you never get into another one. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll be back again soon with the next red flag in the series. Thank you so much. Bye. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you found that, that flag useful to know about. So my name's Maria McMahon. I'm a clinical NLP hypnotherapist, and I help women and men who are trying to overcome narcissistic abuse. I have 2 Facebook groups. One is for guys, it's private group, guys only. One is for women, also private group, women only. So what I'll do is I'll put a link below the video, some links about how you'd like, if you wanted to connect with me, how you'll be able to connect with me. I'll also put a link to the book, which is currently on Amazon for just 99 cents, so it's pretty cheap. Now, if you found this video helpful, please like and comment and subscribe, and come back soon for more red flags, because every Monday, Wednesday and Thursday I'll be posting until I get through all the 50. Okay, so thank you very much again, and I will see you soon. Bye for now.